Real talk, there is something I have noticed about Pokemon cards right now, and that is that everyone is just watching the same cards. Like, I mean, genuinely, it's constantly the same 10 cards showing up. You see it in every Discord, you see it on Reddit, every YouTube video, and I mean, look, I do get it. I love the Pikachu, I love the Charizard, the Gengar, the Bubble Mew. They're all great cards, but also they're out of budget for most collectors. And not only that, there is a lot of risk when you're buying a card over 1,000 USD. That's why in this video, I wanna show you how I'd pick Pokemon cards that nobody is watching in the market. And I wanna go over my personal way I'm gonna do this. So the reason why this is so important is because there's this crazy belief in the hobby that only top chase cards will be expensive. And for a card to be expensive, it starts out expensive. Though I think my favorite part of collecting is looking for cards that no one cares about, and then years later, some serious gains happen. So one of my favorite purchases I ever made was my PSA 10 Mega Heracross from Furious Fizz. So the reason I even bought this card was because when Pokemon Legends ZA was announced and I saw that Mega Evolution Pokemon were returning, I thought it would be good to buy a PSA 10 Mega Evolution slab. So what did I do? I just searched on eBay PSA 10 Mega Evolution Pokemon card, and then I found this Mega Heracross on the market, and it only has a pop report of under 40 copies worldwide. Believe it or not, I bought this card for under 200 USD, and today the card is probably worth maybe 10 or even 15 times that price point. So that's why I'm gonna be going over some of the cards that I think are really awesome in this insane market. And I think this strategy is really important because right now everything's at an all-time high, so you do need to get creative. And also, just gotta say it because, you know, there's so many of you watching, but when I make a video like this, that does not mean you go out and buy every single card and think, hey, Phil said these cards are all gonna spike in value. I could be totally wrong. I've been wrong a lot of times. So please, this video is just totally for entertainment. All right, first one on the list. So when I'm looking at cards that are a little bit underrated in the market, you do need to get creative. And the thing is, and like I say, there's so many cards that were once dirt cheap. And I'm talking super cheap. I mentioned that Mega Heracross, the PSA 10, that was super cheap. The Mew Special Illustration Rare, okay? That was like a $4 card. So yes, there is a lot of cards that can climb up. The one I'm here is on the Arceus V Promo. Now, right now, this card is selling for $27. The only way you could get this card was in the Arceus V figure collection box, and these were made like during Brilliant Star era. But really, man, dude, what a sick artwork. Honestly, under the radar. I'm gonna say it, a bit under the radar, man, and selling for $27. We can see in the last year, it did have an all-time high of 34. I mean, it stayed so stable in the market. It hasn't even moved at all. But honestly, for $27, right now, this is the mind frame you gotta get into this mind frame in this market. I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, wow, incredible card. Don't look at that card and say, whoa, there's a Beautifly there. Cameo, watch out Tigers, just calm yourselves down. Doesn't mean it's gonna spike in price, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I guess that's the kind of mindset you need to get in when you're trying to spot some of these cards. Like I said, sell them for $27. I think that's pretty attainable, man. I think that's a really, it's actually probably undervalued, to be honest, considering it is from a while ago, and it's a fantastic artwork. Also, hey, if it is your first time on the channel, my name's Phil, and I've been making content around Pokemon cards for 2.5 years now. I'm nearly at 100,000 subscribers, which is absolutely mind-boggling. If you do like to easily keep up to date with the hobby, definitely feel free to subscribe. I love seeing all the new people on board the channel. Now, I'm looking for another card. One big thing I want to talk to you about is special illustration rares for popular Pokemon. One really cool one is the Eevee SIR from the Prismatic SPC. Now, we know that there's all these restocks happening. There's drops for the Prismatic Super Premium Collection. They're coming out. So this right now is like, no one really cares about this card right now because there's still stock coming on the market. But it is a special illustration rare as a promo card, and it's an Eevee. Wow, alarm bells should start ringing right there. Right now, this card is selling for 30 US. So definitely not super cheap, but again, very attainable if you wanted it in your collection. When I'm looking at it, because I do, if you know my videos, I do talk heavily about promo cards and their future potential. One reason I love promo cards is because there's one way to obtain them. That makes it so unique because there is a finite amount of product and a finite period where it's available, and there's one source to get that. When you look at booster boxes, there's packs are coming everywhere. You can get them in every pack, there's products that come out for years. These kind of promo boxes and these promotional kind of cards, they're very much for their time period. So definitely, like when I'm looking in the current market, rather than just chasing everything and going for those expensive cards, this looks pretty cool, man, honestly. Also, whenever you're purchasing Pokemon cards, the main aspect is to be tracking your collectibles, and that's where today's sponsor, Collector, comes in. Collector is an all-in-one collectible portfolio manager. The reason why Collector is so unique is because not only is it a way to easily store your collectible info, but it also updates the prices in real time, so you can always have the current market prices of your collection up to date. Collector actually extends further than just the price tracker. One of the key areas is the set analytics section. Here you can easily dive deep into any Pokemon set, and you can find details such as which cards are being wishlisted the most. You can also see the market movers in the set, and it even provides you a volatility score. Now, if you do love going to card shows, there's also a tool known as the Trade Analyzer. This is awesome because you can actually see whether a trade is fair based on the market prices. Here you can just place in what you're offering versus what you're going to be receiving, and you can see if it's a fair market match. Collector are the easiest ways to track, manage, and store your collectible info. You can download the Collector app in the video's description. A massive thanks to them always supporting the channel. Let's get back to the video. Now, another one I want to talk about, and one that I've been looking at lately as well, but I think it's a really cool artwork, is the Mega Charizard X. This is from the Mega Charizard X Ultra Premium Collection from Phantasmal Flames. Now, if I pull this into the 6 months, this is pretty much, it's not at an all-time high, but it's getting there. It's selling for 45. The lowest this in the market was 30. So yeah, I mean, considering that it is a promo card from a pretty much, you got to fork out a lot of money, and those UPCs are climbing up. Again, thinking outside the box a little bit, rather than just going for what everyone's chasing right now, the Meowth SIR, the Mega Greninja. It's just pulling yourself out of that a little bit and seeing what's available. Another one, and again, I'm talking about promos. I will move on from the promos in a second, but one I do want to talk about is the Lucario V-Star from Crown Zenith Elite Trainer Boxes. Dude, come on. Cool as artwork. This artwork is, it's ridiculously good. And of course, one way to obtain it from Crown Zenith Elite Trainer Boxes. Now, Crown Zenith is not that available anymore. In fact, it's spiked in price ridiculously. In fact, when I look at the price of Crown Zenith Elite Trainer Boxes, and then I look at the price of the promo, I'm actually thinking, wow, those ETBs are selling for $300 a pop. And look at this, the promo right now in the market is selling for $13. And honestly, they're not even that hard to grade. For a promo card, they've got higher gem rate chances than a lot of other promo cards. If I pull this into the year graph, it's had a bit of a weird journey. The lowest this card was selling was for $6, which is crazy. Right now, it's selling for $13. But if we do look at the stained glass promos, there's opportunities. This is what you can be doing in the market rather than going for those $500 cards, the $700 cards. Find some outliers in the market, put them in a binder, close the binder. Happy days. You move on with life. It's fantastic. Now, on the topic of Crown Zenith, okay, I'm just looking at all the cards here, and you gotta just look at these cards, man. Look at this. I'm just looking at all the cards from Crown Zenith, whether it's Raikou, Zeraora, the Mewtwo V-Star. Dude, this set was so stacked, and honestly, there is some gems in this set, and I will be walking you through these. But real talk, and I have to admit, if Crown Zenith released today, it would be a game changer, man. It would be the same thing as Ascended Heroes. It's funny that it just didn't release. It released at a time when things were quiet, which I'm thankful for. It's crazy that Crown Zenith Elite Trainer Boxes, they were selling for like 40 USD in ETB at one point. They were so, though like I said, spotting those cards right now, the Hisuian Samurott V, right now, it's at the highest point in the last year, selling for 18 US. That is wildly well priced in the current market when you see the absurd levels other cards are selling for. And look, Crown Zenith was probably the best example of good healthy pull rates. There's one thing right now. A lot of people are saying, hey, Pokemon need to print more. And then I actually read someone say, why don't they just adjust pull rates? And I just thought to myself, that is something we should all be pushing for. Why don't we just adjust pull rates? Why do we need 1 in 2,000 pack kind of cards like Mega Gengar, or 1 in 1,500 cards like the Umbreon? That's the reason they're getting these prices. If Crown Zenith is a perfect example of a set that had friendly pull rates, and you can see a chase card right here selling for $18, or not a top chase card, but a desired card in the set. One cool thing about the hobby right now is if you do look for starter Pokemon, and some cards that I do think have a bit of a unique future are some of the starter Pokemon we've seen in the Mega Evolution era. I'm on the Rowlet right here. Now, this one is currently selling for $7. Honestly, That's nearly every collector can add that in their binder. And what's really cool about starter Pokemon is they do have a tendency to have really strong longevity. And look, even though it's not first generation starters, there still is a game to play with these other generation starters. Sure, when we look at Stellar Crown, you can see the Bulbasaur, the Squirtle, they've really spiked in price. When I'm looking at Rowlet, man, it's a cute artwork. It's cool. To buy it at $7 is unique. And again, what you're trying to do and what this video is trying to teach you is don't just look at those massive opportunities, collect with intention. Cool, it's a starter Pokemon, Generation 7, interesting. You can maybe start building a binder with these cards. Also, if you do love my style of content, I do create content around Pokemon and Nintendo gaming history on my channel, Philip's Trick Room. Here I do deep dives into Pokemon's lore and I review Nintendo Switch games. On a recent video, I actually revisited Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and then I asked the question, is it really that bad? Check out the huge library of content on Philip's Trick Room. It's a totally different experience to this channel. Would really appreciate your support there. Same thing when I'm looking at the Scorbunny illustration rare from Ascended Heroes. Right now selling for $12. Again, a little bit more expensive than the Rowlet, but again, you are looking at starter Pokemon that people have a connection with. One thing about the whole illustration rare era, and it's a really unique thing, and we're gonna see the effects of this in years to come. When a collector, and collectors do this, they have favorite Pokemon, and they start looking at the library of a Pokemon. And when they start browsing the artworks of that Pokemon, you can see some genuinely cool, different, unique artworks from the era. The thing about the illustration rare era and all this in the trainer gallery era is we're gonna have very unique cards for a lot of Pokemon. What I mean by this, I'm gonna just show you an example. So here I'm on this website and I'm just looking at Electivire cards, and I just searched Electivire, and this shows me every single Electivire card that has ever released in history. And I've just gone through these Electivire cards and I can see there's a really cool Ultra Rare. Right there, I can see one from Crown Zenith, a cool Galarian Gallery, a unique artwork. Do you see how it stands out like a sore thumb between all of these? And I'm just looking at all the Electivire cards. Now, if I was wanting to collect like a classic Electivire card, you can see they just look like more of your standard Pokemon common or uncommon card. These eras, while they were classic, they didn't have that real unique kind of artwork like illustration rares or Galarian Gallery cards do. So when one day in the future, when collectors look back at illustration rares and they've got a favorite Pokemon, they'll be able to search these cards and they can look, and if they want to complete a master set of a particular Pokemon, they'll be able to see some really cool artworks from that as well, because that's what the illustration rare era and the Galarian Gallery era has done. It's opened up collectors to such more unique artwork. Now moving on to the next one, it is the Piplup from Phantasmal Flames, another really cool card. Right now it is selling for $20. Okay, that is decent. And Generation 4 starter Pokemon illustration rare. If I pull this into the 6 months, you can see it's actually already climbed a fair bit. It was selling for $10. So there you go, already doubled. So like I just showed you with that Rowlet, Piplup, could this Piplup get on the same level as the Squirtle or the Bulbasaur? It's a very loved starter Pokemon. People really do like their Generation 4 starters. I wouldn't count them out. And that's the kind of way in this market, when everything's at an all-time high, you gotta get creative. You cannot just say, I'm gonna collect what everyone's collecting. Start making your own lane. Get a bit inspired by something else. Maybe you've been playing Pokemon Pocopia. Maybe maybe you love Tangrowth. You know what? Let's look at all the Tangrowth cards out there. Here we go. I've just moved on to Tangrowth, and right there, I'm just checking these out, and honestly, wow. Look at that. See, there's no illustration rare or anything of Tangrowth. In fact, that's an interesting, maybe the next Tangrowth illustration rare or something there. That'll be interesting, right? Think like that. Collect with what you love. When you collect what you love, it always works out in your favor. Now, two cards that I think are crazy undervalued and very interesting Pokemon cards in the current market. It is the Crown Zenith premium figure collection boxes, the 2 promos. Now, there is a Zacian and a Zamazenta promo, and they're both the shiny versions of these cards. Look, they're nothing too interesting, but the only way to obtain these promos is in the Zacian or Zamazenta figure premium collection, which was released in a very short and small time period in 2023, and it's never to be seen again. Though these are the promo cards here. The Zamazenta right now is selling for $3.39. Crazy. I mean, can it drop lower? It's the only shiny Zamazenta card on the whole market. There is one. It is this one. Same thing when we're looking at the shiny Zacian, selling for $4. If we look in the whole last year, high point in the market, again, it was always $4. It's been consistently $4 for a long time. What I'm trying to say is playing with those promos, those once in an era Pokemon cards that are unique, they can sometimes have really interesting gains in the future. The key here is the way I'm trying to like, the point of this video is not to think about, oh, just growth, because a lot of the things that spike are what no one's looking at. That's usually how it happens. This hobby is insane how it works. And the biggest reason I love this hobby is because things always surprise us. Literally, expect the unexpected, because when you don't expect results, that's when results happen. The thing is, finding these cards is a bit of a process, though there is an art to spotting undervalued Pokemon cards. In fact, there's actually a super easy way to do that, and it's all explained in this video here. In this video on screen, I actually walk you through how to spot undervalued Pokemon cards before anyone else does. If you love this video, you're gonna really love the next one. Appreciate you watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and hey, I'll see you on the next video.